Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at what's next in love for singles. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Raspberry Aura Quartz, along with these cards. Group 2 is the Citrine, along with these cards. And group 3 is the Clear Quartz, along with these cards. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video if you would like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling through letter tiles and attribute cards to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Raspberry Aura Quartz, along with these cards, which I will start with to see what's next in love for singles. Got the 9 of Pentacles, which is Earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Wheel of Fortune, which for me as a reader is mutable energy, Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, and Sagittarius. Temperance, which is Sagittarius. 4 of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Mountain, strength. Winter solstice, reflection. High honor. Journey. The garden and the gate. And the sun, which is also Leo energy. So it looks like somebody new comes in for you, Group 1, after a period of being single for a while with 9 of Pentacles. You may have really been focusing on yourself, on your own abundance, on building your career in some way, maybe putting love on the back burner, not dating, just really focused on yourself, perhaps in some kind of a hermit mode, perhaps recovering from some sort of a heartbreak or just a very difficult chapter in your life, a lot of challenges that you've had to overcome. And in order to do that, you've needed to, with the 4 of Swords, just sort of, again, pull back from love, retract from the idea or from the search for the one, or, for somebody that would be compatible with you, a suitable partner, maybe even a lot of disappointments and dead ends in that regard. And so you've just redirected that focus onto self. And it feels that this person almost comes into your life as a breath of fresh air, as kind of that thawing of a winter stage, and is a very fresh energy. So this doesn't feel to be somebody from your past. It also doesn't feel to be the type of person that you are usually dealing with romantically. And it's very refreshing to encounter somebody like this, somebody who really kind of breaks some sort of a pattern for you, somebody who represents, almost that turning of the wheel in a very fortunate way. There could be some kind of serendipity or synchronicity through which you meet this person. It feels like luck really being on the two of your side. With journey, this can be somebody who lives at a distance from you or whom you meet while traveling. Or again, it also ties into that idea of kind of these synchronicities, this element of serendipity, where the two of you are just kind of going about your lives, you're going about your day, and you run into each other very unexpectedly. And it almost feels like something that starts off as just a very kind of sweet and congenial energy between the two of you. This doesn't feel like some overpowering sort of love at first sight circumstance. This may be something that just starts off as friendship. This can be somebody, I'm getting this also, so this might apply for some of you, somebody who is a neighbor, a new neighbor of yours, somebody who moves into your building or into your neighborhood, somebody who has just recently moved to where you live, or perhaps it's you who's the one who has relocated. And so this is somebody that you encounter sort of in the first stages, in that very new stage of having changed your environment in some way, changed your circumstances. With the sun here, this can talk about somebody who has a very optimistic disposition, somebody who is a glass half full kind of person, somebody who really inspires you to look up to them, to admire them. Again, this element of friendship really comes out first and foremost before romance is entered into. Challenges and struggles that you learn about as you are getting to know this person, and the ways in which they have overcome these things and have maintained an openness, a gentleness about them, an optimism about them, a purity of heart despite what they have been through. That it's very inspirational for you. It puts you at ease with this person. It's somebody that you have a lot of respect for. With this idea of high honor, this can also be somebody that maybe is public about some struggles that they have been through. They have garnered a lot of respect for some things that they have overcome, or maybe just the direction that they are really focusing their life, something that they are building towards, perhaps professionally, something to do with a legacy. This can also really tie into the idea of community activism, giving back in some way, and that there's some degree of notoriety with that, with journey. This person is somewhat well known, either in the nexus of the community, within their particular field. They've established themselves in some way as some kind of an authority, somebody to look to for solid information, somebody that is respected. This can also be somebody who kind of has a larger following or an outreach in conjunction with something that they have really, either it ties into the nature of what it is they do, challenges that they have overcome, or as you are kind of learning their backstory, it enhances the amount of respect that you have for them as a person. When you learn about these challenges that they have had to face, obstacles that they have had to face, somebody who really, it feels with the Nine of Pentacles, is self-made in a lot of ways, or has reimagined or sort of picked up their pieces and put them together in a new and interesting and very solid and successful way after, maybe a series of disappointments in their personal life, experiences growing up, something to do with their background and the way in which they have really transcended and have come out on top and have really sort of demonstrated this fortitude within themselves, this survival instinct, this aspect of character where a lot of people might have just given up or allowed themselves to become embittered by these circumstances, or just really be defeated, not even try in a lot of cases. That this person has demonstrated almost this degree of tenacity that is very admirable. They have not taken no for an answer. They have not allowed these obstacles to slow them down, and they have triumphed. They have continued to push toward some sort of goal or their idea of personal happiness or healing, or something that they've wanted to achieve. Again, perhaps professionally, some kind of stability or independence in their life. And they have very successfully done that. Or when you encounter them, they have taken major steps along that path. They have paved for themselves or carved out for themselves a road that if they continue down this kind of avenue, that it will continue to provide them with that success and with that stability. This is not just somebody who, is talking about things that they want to do in the future, somebody with a lot of plans that they don't really set into motion. This is somebody who has concrete demonstrations of putting action to intention, of really getting in there and grinding and pushing past personal barriers and external circumstances in order to kind of reach that pinnacle of whatever success or happiness or kind of that top of the mountain, whatever that is for them. And so when you encounter them, perhaps this is even how you learn of this person, if they are somewhat public in this, or it's something where you two share some kind of, with this idea of temperance and balance, you two share some kind of common backstory, some kind of common struggle that you have been working through or have really overcome in some way. Two very independent people who have kind of imagined a future for themselves and have really dedicated themselves with almost every ounce of their effort and energy toward this very singular goal, and have really achieved that, have really attained that, or have made substantial progress in that direction. With the Nine of Pentacles, this is kind of on that brink of completion, on that brink of the Ten of Pentacles, that full package. It's a lot of solid progress that has been made in that direction. And so the two of you could really share that. You could share that kind of community. You could share that just being like this similar goal that the two of you have. It feels that you both really encourage one another in the pursuit, in the continued pursuit of these individual goals. This is somebody who has established themselves as financially independent. They may have even built some degree of wealth, or are starting to do that for themselves. Some kind of a business or some kind of an investment plan that they have had has worked out very well. This could be somebody who is very good at sort of sensing and seeing opportunities, knowing how to make calculated moves, to kind of navigate pathways toward that goal that they have. With the Wheel of Fortune, again, this is that idea of somebody who's very different from the usual type of person that you have been dealing with. They represent a transition and change from kind of this state of focusing on other things, or maybe a repeated series of disappointments in love, to some kind of a rejuvenation, something that opens up within you. Again, this blossoming kind of springtime energy, where opportunities in love that you hadn't perceived before are now suddenly available, and they are accessible. This could be somebody with this idea of garden and the gate, who may have a little bit of boundaries up around them when you first meet them. This could have to do with heartbreaks of the past, or again, just something that they really are focused on, really dedicated towards. And so again, there could be some kind of a barrier that they have up. They're not just willing to dive completely into this romance right out of the gate, to reference this card here of Garden and the Gate. But it's something that, again, kind of over that fence, there's a friendship that is established with one another. It's not something that it is an insurmountable barrier. It's something where, it's very easy to sort of cross that threshold after this kind of initial period of time of, the two of you really discovering that you have a lot more in common than you might have initially thought, that the feelings you have for each other, this kind of friendship that's developed, it's definitely leaning in the direction of something more. It's something the two of you are then mutually kind of open yourselves up to. This can also really tie into someone who is very respectful of your boundaries, somebody who's not going to push you or pump you for information, push you beyond sort of the level of comfort that you have, or somebody that's, this isn't someone who's going to try to derail things that you have prioritized, things that you are really working on and focusing on. Somebody who respects your need for, maybe time to direct your focus on things other than love, other than this connection. This is, again, two people who are very independent, who both have their own lives established, their own interests. If you'd been dealing with kind of issues of codependency in previous connections, this is the exact opposite of that. This is that turning of the wheel. This is that evidence for you that the work you've done on yourself to break out of some kind of cycle or pattern has been demonstrated with your ability to cultivate and experience a different type of connection with somebody. This could be very new for you, this idea of almost building this platonic relationship before entering into romance. It feels that this is somebody that you will find attractive. You will, you will discover that you have things in common. You like spending time with one another. Even the silence is comfortable with the Four of Swords between the two of you. There's not a lot of pressure. There's a lot of ease in this situation. You two blend very well, as different as you might be from one another, that somehow it just fits. Somehow it just works. Your ideas of goals that you are almost working towards could be quite different, but it's a very similar and same kind of drive. It's the same sort of initiative. You may have very similar work styles, similar I'm getting dietary interests or habits, lifestyles, similar kinds of, maybe you both work nights, maybe you're both morning people, maybe you both, you work 6 days a week and you only allow yourself, 1 day of rest, like that kind of a thing. It fits in very well. Your schedules fit in very well with one another. The times in which you carve out for kind of personal time, it's something that really, it fits in with what this person has really constructed for themselves as kind of this path and this road to success. So it doesn't, obviously in any connection, there are compromises that must be made, but it doesn't feel like a lot of sacrifice needs to be made to kind of bring this connection, even at that friendship level, into the fold of your reality, that the two of you just kind of fit very seamlessly with one another. It kind of widens your expanse and widens your experience of what you are already focusing on. They fit very well into the patterns and habits that you've established for yourself, and also vice versa. You fit very well into that for them. This is a connection that brings you a lot of peace of mind. Worry that you may have had, sort of fear of opening up to love again, maybe again this sort of need for boundaries, this need to really continue to prioritize some other goal or some other part of your life that you have really sought to build, to construct, maybe concerns about patterns of codependency of your past. This person helps to very quickly put your mind at ease that the work you've done on yourself and where you're choosing to invest the majority of your effort and focus, that this is respected, that this has been very effective, that this is something that really is conducive to that kind of this polarity of those two sides, who you are as an individual and also what is developing between the two of you as a unit. And so something that really quickly helps you to recognize that this connection, this person is different from what you've experienced, that you've cultivated some different skills for yourself. You've grown beyond the person that was maybe entertaining lower vibrational connections, or again, instances of codependency in the past that, sort of very progressively, and it feels like very quickly, especially when you sort of open up the chapter of romance between the two of you, it's very quickly established that this is not that previous kind of situation, that previous archetype that you were used to dealing with. This is somebody different. They are showing up different. You are different, and therefore showing up in this connection in a more balanced capacity than you may have in connections of the past. With this idea of the garden and the gate, this is bringing up also somebody who might be a vegan or a vegetarian, somebody who likes to spend a lot of time out in nature, somebody who might garden or who might be into agriculture in some way. This could be kind of a shared goal or a dream that the two of you have of sort of moving out into a more rural setting. Maybe homesteading or setting up some kind of an organic farm for some of you, something where health and kind of a natural lifestyle is very important. This is kind of a shared goal. This could be some kind of personal transformation that the two of you have really engaged in, that has helped to raise your vibration, raise your level of feeling good about yourself, feeling good about your who you are in your skin, and really prioritizing health and wellness. It feels also very organically this connection grows. It's a very natural progression from when the two of you initially meet and you click, and you start to kind of build and forge that bond of getting to know each other, that bond of friendship. And then kind of as things evolve, it's at a very organic pace. It doesn't feel pressured. It doesn't feel like, some kind of ultimatum exists where, somebody feels that they need to take action or they're going to lose out on this situation. It just continues to flow. It just continues to build, almost this momentum, like a climbing staircase from that moment of intersection, when you first meet one another, up to that point where, this blossoms into that element of romance. All of this happens in a very non-pressured circumstance, which again might be quite different than what you were used to kind of dealing with in individuals previously. With this high honor card, this person could have a military background. Some of this struggle that might be coming up is somebody who has been dealing with PTSD, for example, somebody who may have been wounded in combat, and that this is something that they have really needed to sort of adjust their reality to this, to the circumstances that they now face, to this aspect or element of themselves that hasn't always been part of their reality. This can also talk with this idea of the garden and the gate of somebody who's really turned to more holistic therapies or remedies of kind of a an alternative sort of nature in order to deal with some of these compounded issues, maybe even some PTSD stemming from their childhood, or some kind of an incident or event that happened for them that has really kind of left some lasting wounds. It may be something with that Four of Swords that took a long time to recover from, or this has been sort of a battle that they have been fighting for quite some time. But when you meet this person, when you encounter this person, they have turned the page in some way. They have really found something that works, something that really inspires them. This could be a teaching. This could be a modality. This can be something where also kind of their struggles, their story is an inspiration to others around them of kind of the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity. With this idea of journey, this could be somebody who travels for work. Also with that garden and the gate, there could be, kind of distance between the two of you, at least initially or for periods of time where a lot of this communication or even that initial kind of meeting could be something that happens online, some kind of shared community. And the two of you then needing to travel to one another, meeting in the middle somewhere, or in kind of this mutual circumstance, or again, periods of time where maybe because of the nature of this person's work or something to do with kind of a cause that is important to them, or even some of these modalities for health and wellness. It requires them traveling, or it's something that they choose to do. This could be somebody that is really into going to retreats. I'm hearing Sedona, Arizona, so that might be relevant for some of you where you meet this person. Maybe this is somebody who puts on workshops in an area like that, something of that nature. Somebody who might be kind of heavily involved in spirituality, has had some kind of a spiritual awakening, and that this can really represent also kind of that mountain that they have overcome, that shedding of the old self, and stepping into this kind of higher vibrational version of who they used to be. And those polarities being very different. Somebody who's really that success story, that on the other side of kind of this dark night of the soul energy, on the other side of surrender is the ability to, experience and exude abundance within and without. I'm also drawn here on this Temperance card to the two cups that she's holding. One has fire and one has water. So you may be dealing, this could be a fire sign, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, or it could also be a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. And this also brings in the idea of certain aspects about your story or who you are, or just, the life that you are leading that are very different, and yet they're complementary. These are both elements. These are both elementals. So at your core, these values, this work ethic, these goals that you have are very similar. You may be just taking different routes, different paths to that same kind of destination, different paths to enlightenment, different paths and experiences along this kind of spiritual journey as well, or some kind of a life journey that has really brought you to that same kind of shared point where you are intersecting with one another and meeting one another. So I'm going to get a few more zodiac signs. This can be somewhere in their chart, or this can even relate to the time of year that you meet this person, or something that's significant to this connection. And these are really small, so I'll just tell you what they are because I doubt you can see that on camera. We've got Capricorn, so again, that can be in their chart, or that can relate to the months of December and January. We've got Leo, so also the months of July and August. Gemini, which is May and June. Aquarius, which is January and February. Aries, which is March and April. And Virgo, which is August and September. So I'm going to get some of these attribute cards now, and there's a little bit of everything in here. There's personality traits, physical characteristics, there's some initials, more zodiac signs, so we'll just see what comes through. Okay, and we've got clever. So somebody who may have had to be really sort of quick on their feet, really kind of seizing opportunities where others really only saw obstacles or challenges. And this being kind of that inspirational quality of how they have really made a lot out of very little in their life. This can also be somebody who's very quick-witted, somebody who, is maybe a person of few words, but the words that they do speak are very direct, very to the point, kind of a wry or dark sense of humor that this person may have, very kind of quick with their responses, somebody who's very, observant, very introspective as well. And we've also got genuine. So this ties into the idea of someone that brings kind of peace and peace of mind to you, that this is a safe space, this is a safe person to open up to. Somebody who is very direct with their intentions towards you and with their goals and with what they see for themselves long term in the future. We've also got June, so that could be a name. That can also relate to the time of year that is significant to this connection, to meeting this person, or this can tie into the zodiac signs of Gemini and Cancer. We've also got writers, so this might be something that they do for a profession. Maybe they, have written some kind of memoir or some kind of book, or they have a blog, or they write articles or things that, even kind of contributions to some sort of online community in tandem with a struggle that they have been through, a path that they have been on. Maybe somebody that puts out works of a spiritual nature. This can also tie into this online connection or sort of a distance between the two of you where there's a lot of texting, emailing, or even direct messages back and forth. We've also got playful, so somebody that was coming through with sort of this springtime energy, this very optimistic energy, somebody who really looks on the bright side of life, tries to see the best in all situations, is very youthful in their spirit, despite however old they are. There also may be an age difference between the two of you. But this feels like somebody who is a young soul at heart, somebody who, just has this kind of zest for life, somebody who is very curious, wants to really savor and take in all that life has to offer to them. Almost somebody who looks at the world like a kid in a candy store, somebody who, tries to see the best, tries to see the bright side, tries to really make the most of opportunities that present themselves. And we've got soul recognition. So this can definitely be somebody that you have shared past lives with. This also really ties into the idea of kind of those core values or those themes or archetypes that are very similar, very kind of congruent between the two of you, despite the fact that maybe your paths to this point of enlightenment, or the journeys that you have been on, or what you're focused on, or what you have built for yourself, what you do for a living, these things could all be very different, but at the core of who you are, there's this same thread that flows between the two of you. And we also have karmic. So this can talk about a series of karmic lessons that kind of precede you meeting this person, situations that they've had to go through, karma that they've had to close out, that has helped to strengthen their character. It has helped to unearth who they are authentically at their core. This can be a journey that the two of you have really shared together, a lot of karmic cycles that you've had to break out of. With that reference also to temperance, this can be something where one or both of you has kind of struggled with addiction. in your past. And this could be something that the two of you have really transcended. With that idea of the cups and temperance, specifically alcohol could have been sort of a factor, like a karmic cycle you two were both stuck in, also with this giant kind of chalice here on the sun. And that in some way, that struggle, that journey, that to that place of triumph, it is a mountain that the two of you really have this kind of shared history of overcoming. You're able to really understand one another and empathize with one another on that level. In your own ways, you're really inspirational to people around you, either in just the nexus of people that know you in your immediate circumstances, for this kind of survival spirit, this story of triumph, this story of hope and inspiration, the saving of oneself from obliteration and oblivion. And this can even ripple out to one or both of you being an inspiration to people on kind of a larger sense as you are sharing your story or being that living example of the ability to transcend and sort of rewrite the narrative for oneself at any point in time. We also have generous, so somebody that may be, very into kind of community service, really giving back. Again, that idea of some sort of shared community and a feeling of sharing their story with others can really help. Maybe things that they've been through or things that they talk about, they view them as potentially being inspirational for others. Not that this is somebody who is seeking glory or fame or notoriety necessarily, but it's this urge to sort of give back, help others to help themselves. It's a way in which this person really makes their experience and makes their story matter. It's a way of alchemizing these very difficult kind of things that they have been through into something of meaning, into something of value. Not just something of value personally, but something of value that might be able to help or inspire or encourage others. This can also be somebody who is very generous in terms of, it feels like their love language is spending time, the time and attention, the consistency in which they demonstrate to you toward building this connection, building very gradually, being very engaged, very interested in things that are important to you. Somebody who, when you are spending time with them, you have their full attention and vice versa. This isn't somebody who's sitting there playing around on their phone and you're trying to have, a conversation or a lunch with them and it feels very one-sided. This is somebody who, you get their undivided attention when you are interacting with them. They are very generous in that capacity, which might be quite different from people that you have been accustomed to dealing with, who, were kind of all over the place, or their attentions were really drawn in different directions. You weren't getting that full focus. We also have grounded. So somebody who is, again, very stable, stable in their sort of where they are in their life, or has, made drastic steps toward that stability of a financial nature, something they are doing professionally even. Somebody who is very comfortable, who has come to that place of comfort, who has cultivated that within themselves, with who they are, with where their journey in life has brought them up to this point in time. Somebody who's very comfortable with their past, as difficult or as ugly as that might have been. They have come to a place of really being at peace with that. And it's that peace and optimism that they have within that is just, relative to kind of their backstory or something that they've been through, that is really this inspiration to others. This idea of grounded can also talk about somebody who's very practical, very logical, not somebody who's overly emotional or, this doesn't feel like emotionally avoidant, but it's somebody that is more, they like to, kind of dissect emotions or impulses that they have. Somebody who is, tries to just kind of bring everything back to sort of material reality, as opposed to allowing, triggers to kind of let them sort of run wild or run off the rails in some way. That this is somebody who has really reached a degree of self-mastery where they are able to recognize and take a step back from emotions that they have, impulses that they have. Somebody who may have really been working toward impulse control, also in conjunction with this idea of addiction. This has been something they've worked toward. This has been something they've cultivated in themselves. They may have at one point in time been very ungrounded, been very flighty, been very impulsive in their life, but there's been some kind of a paradigm shift where they become very serious about themselves. They become very serious about self-improvement, about self-mastery. about really just, taking inventory of the resources and the tools they have available to them and utilizing these things to make the most out of their experience in this life. And we also have philosophy. So they may be a philosophy major. This can be something where there's a particular teaching that they follow that has been very inspirational to them. The words that they speak, the ways in which they describe, their views or their experiences, it may come across as very wise and insightful to others. Some kind of personal philosophy or life philosophy, some kind of core values. The two of you really have these things in common. And we've also got muscular, so somebody who really prioritizes fitness. They may work out. This feels like somebody who may enjoy kind of hiking in nature or going for a run outside. They could be somebody who spends time in the gym lifting weights, but this feels almost fit in another capacity. Somebody who may, with that idea that was coming up with sort of agriculture, farming, someone who may do a lot of things outside that has kind of created sort of a muscular version of themselves, of their body. They may have transformed themselves in this capacity. That may have been one of the challenges that they needed to overcome, was kind of this physical transformation within themselves, sculpting themselves, reaching that point of optimal fitness for themselves. We also have Sirius, so that ties in with the energy of grounded, somebody who's very practical, very logical, somebody who is very genuine, somebody who is not wanting to just play with your heart or with your emotions. But somebody who, as the connection kind of gradually unfolds between the two of you, somebody who is very direct with their intentions, very serious about, kind of committing to this, committing to the expansion of this, committing to getting to know you. When it reaches that point of romance, somebody who will take that very seriously, who believes in monogamy, who believes in exclusivity, who again gives you that undivided attention, is very generous with that, is very forthright with that. And we've got Aries, so that could be something in their natal chart, or this can even tie into the time of year that is significant, which is the months of March and April. And we've got marriage, so this definitely could be somebody that you end up marrying. This can be, kind of this ideal connection that kind of checks off all the boxes, where you build this very solid foundation with each other, respect for one another as individuals, as humans, respect for the journeys that you two have had to sort of embark on, this foundation of friendship, and kind of mutual understanding and honoring and respect of one another, that then blossoms into this this element of romance. And it feels like somebody that, if you do end up marrying this person, that this will be a lasting marriage. This will be something that, continues forth because it's been built upon that proper foundation. This can also be somebody who may have been married previously, perhaps even more than once. Perhaps you have also been married before, perhaps more than once. This could be kind of a shared struggle between the two of you, kind of a messy divorce or a very difficult extraction from a marriage or a series of marriages. And the two of you, when you encounter one another, may really be focused on just your independence, claiming that again, rebuilding that again, picking up the pieces off of, whatever kind of circumstance had been sort of torn asunder before, stepping into your own identity and your own autonomy with one another, which might also kind of attribute to this element of barriers and wanting to start off as friends first. Somebody or you, and both of you or one of you really respecting that about the other, needing this time of just kind of being in your own energy, finding and cultivating your own identity after this experience. So not rushing into a connection, not rushing into love, but something that is really built gradually. We also have retreat. So that was coming up with that idea of Sedona, Arizona, somebody that you might meet on a spiritual retreat, some kind of a retreat even with your job, with work, somebody you may meet on vacation, or while, just kind of getting away from sort of your ordinary day-to-day reality. And we have curvy, so that could be a body type. This can also tie in with this idea of kind of a fitness journey that this person has gone on to kind of reduce the curves, reduce, kind of the extra weight that they were carrying, and either through deliberate efforts or just, some kind of a new hobby or new kind of lifestyle choice that they took on, it resulted in this kind of byproduct of a physical transformation for them. And we also have work connection. So this could be somebody that is in the same industry as you. This can tie into very similar work styles or work schedules, a very similar work ethic. Somebody that you meet, again, on some kind of a business retreat, some kind of a business trip. We also have thinning hair, bald, shaved head. Student. So that ties in with this idea of kind of a young soul, somebody who's a student of life, somebody who's very curious and wants to learn and experience all they can of this reality with very fresh and optimistic eyes. They may also be a student, maybe somebody who has gone back to school, perhaps even somebody who is a teacher, who learns a lot from you and you learn a lot from them also. It feels like very a mutual and reciprocal kind of exchange between the two of you. You could be going to school together. Maybe they transfer to your school, or even somebody who it feels could be studying abroad, or you are studying abroad and that's how you meet this person. And we've got crafts persons, so somebody who could work with their hands, work in some kind of a, as a hobby. They have some kind of a craft, something to do maybe with metal smithing, with metal working, with sculpting. This feels like something that's not necessary, and it could be something that's very fine and detailed, but this feels like in a larger kind of a way, something that they do, maybe somebody that does woodworking and makes these very beautiful kind of pieces of art. This could be something that they've really turned into a career for themselves. This could be how you meet this person. Maybe they have a booth at a fair, maybe you do, and the two of you kind of interact with each other. This could be somebody that sort of travels around to demonstrate their art, display their art, sell their wares. That can be this element of kind of travel and journey that is involved in this as well. And we've also got dreams. So you could have some shared dreams and goals with this person. Again, that idea of maybe moving out into a rural setting, having a sustainable lifestyle, dreams of what the future would look like, dreams of what kind of the ideal partnership, what that dynamic would feel like and look like, very much shared with one another. You could actually be having dreams and meeting with this person in dreams prior to meeting them in the flesh. And so it ties into that element of soul recognition. There's a familiarity about them that almost becomes apparent to you immediately or very quickly into getting to know them. You almost feel that you know them from somewhere, but you can't quite put your finger on it. And we also have mountains. So that is a confirmation right here of the mountain card that came up. So somebody who might live in the mountains, likes to spend time in the mountains. Hiking could be important to this connection. Again, that idea of mountains as challenges, some kind of shared challenge that the two of you have really overcome together. And this doesn't feel to do with trauma bonding in that sense of like a shared challenge, but it's something where they are able to understand what you have been through in your experience because they have been through that themselves. This is not something where two people are kind of commiserating off of this shared misery, but it's something where they understand an element of you and you understand an element of them because it is so similar to an experience that you've been through. It's almost a depth of intimacy with one another that, people who haven't had these experiences can't grasp that. They can't grasp that power of transformation. They can't grasp that kind of before and after, sort of the person that one was before these experiences or before this endeavor to change was embarked upon versus sort of who one becomes and on the other side of that, on the other side of those mountains. This idea of mountains can also talk about spirituality, a path of enlightenment, a path of ascension, like a shared kind of spiritual journey that the two of you are on. This can also tie into the idea of distance between the two of you, maybe a mountain range that separates you, or even continents that separate you, large land masses to where it does require travel to be in physical proximity to one another. And we've got children, so that can tie in with the marriage card, somebody that you will start a family with. And this can be, children of kind of fur babies, of pets, or this can be human children that you have together. This can even be kind of a blending of families. Maybe one or both of you has a child or children from previous relationships. And so that would be a factor in some way in this connection. And we've also got politics. So this person could be really into politics, be very passionate about certain causes, some kind of social justice or activism work that they are involved in. You may meet them through that. This can also really tie into this idea of different political views, different ends of a political spectrum, and yet there is this balance, this symbiosis between the two of you, where you're really able to respect one another in those different opinions. It just works somehow, whereas maybe in other circumstances or from the outside, it would look that you're too polarized, too opposite to really be able to have any kind of cohesion in that sense. And we've got festivals, so that ties in with the idea of craftsperson, and maybe you meet this person at a fair or festival, some kind of an art show somewhere where one or both of you is displaying your art, displaying your work, selling your wares. And we've got autumn, so that can be a significant time of year to when you meet this person. That can also tie in, let's see, autumn is September 21st through December 21st. So that would be the zodiac signs of Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. Any of those might be significant here. And we've got fastidious, so somebody who is maybe very clean cut in their appearance, somebody who is, takes good care of themselves, is well dressed, always looks put together, even if it's in a casual setting. Somebody who might be very neat and tidy, kind of a minimalist in terms of their environment. And we've got synchronicity, so that was coming up at the beginning of this reading for you, Group 1. A series of synchronicities or serendipities, these coincidences, things just aligning perfectly, the stars aligning for the two of you to really encounter one another. And we've got law enforcement. So this can be somebody who, kind of like with that military background, maybe they also work in law enforcement, have a law enforcement background. Some of that struggle that they may have had to overcome may also have had to do with legal issues that they have faced. And we have studious, so that obviously ties in with the student cards, somebody who, is a student of life, somebody who is very dedicated to a path that they are walking, somebody who is a very curious person, who does a lot of research, who maybe, thinks a lot, meditates a lot. With that Four of Swords can also be a card of meditation, so somebody who practices yoga, meditation, or both. Maybe that's a shared kind of a sort of a practice or a way in which you meet each other. That's this kind of mutual community that you share. Studious can also really be somebody who is very observant, kind of a people watcher, somebody who picks up on energies beyond words that are said, somebody who is able to kind of navigate very well through life based on that, based on kind of studying the subtleties and the patterns, the trends within culture, within society, or within individuals or their particular circumstances in order to really navigate sort of that path forward to success. Somebody who wants to, again, the student of life, kind of learn and take in as much as they can about the human experience. So I'm going to get some initials for you, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, whatever resonates for you. Got J, K, Z, C, Y, G, D, T, F, Q, V, W, M, and X. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I now offer video readings that are sent to you as a private YouTube link. Turnaround time on those is 3 to 5 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. I chose the Citrine along with these cards, which I'll start with to see what is next in love. Got the Knight of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Six of Wands, so more fire energy. Knight of Cups, water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Two of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Fire, passion. Crystals, focus. Mature man. Coffin. Appreciation. And walking away. So a lot of attraction and chemistry between you and this person. This could be somebody who is very attractive, very physically attractive, somebody who, you know, has a lot of options, has a lot of suitors, gets a lot of attention. And this could be kind of an issue for you, something which at first maybe makes you a little uncertain about this person. There's kind of this initial sort of urge to walk away from this. This might trigger some kind of issues of jealousy or insecurity within you because of the level of attention that this person gets from other people, from how attractive they are, to where you're initially maybe inclined to almost judge the book by its cover, to look at things from that very surface level. Again, something that's really triggered within you, some kind of core wound with coffin here, that is a challenge, but something that is really intended for your own growth and kind of evolution. Something where you do have success in overcoming this with the Six of Wands. That initial kind of hesitation to get involved with somebody like this, or to, you know, maybe lean into that urge to walk away, or that maybe that instinct or habit towards jealousy, that this connection represents something that is very evolutionary for you in nature. You are able to recognize that about yourself, this kind of shadow aspect of yourself, and you are kind of given this choice, and it feels like are very successfully able to sort of transmute that, to not allow, you know, a suspicious nature, or maybe people you've dealt with in the past that were very attractive or that got a lot of attention from others. People in the past that this might have led to kind of infidelity, or, you know, somebody who was unwilling or unable to commit, that in some way with the mature man, this person has kind of outgrown that stage of their life, or is in some way different from that experience that you have had, but that something about this triggers it, brings up that memory of kind of ghosts of the past, or issues that you had had in similar kind of circumstances previously. But it's something you're able to overcome. That very initial sort of hesitation to keep this at a distance, or to kind of walk away or not pursue this, despite that level of attraction and magnetism that you also have to this person. It feels like you're physically attracted to one another. You find them physically attractive, but it's something of an emotional level that draws you in. It's something at a core frequency that really compels you towards them, that really is that kind of motivation to dig deeper beneath this trigger within you, to gain some kind of clarity about your own nature, about things within yourself, unhealed core wounds that are really brought to the surface by this circumstance, by this person, by their energy, or the way that their energy affects others around them. And it brings into focus for you work that you need to do to create some kind of balance within yourself, to really close out and walk away from a trend or a tendency within you, almost a defeatist attitude, something you might not have known that carried over from previous disappointments and heartbreaks. Again, this idea of almost judging the book by its cover, and that you gain some kind of clarity about that, how you initially are almost unfairly punishing this person for things that are very similar in the dynamic. Again, maybe just that element of somebody who gets a lot of attention, somebody who's very attractive, somebody who turns heads when they are walking, you know, out and about in public, and that this being kind of an issue for you, sort of what you perceive as a red flag, but that turns out to almost be this false flag. It's this ghost of the past. It's a very enlightening experience for you to really take your power back and to create closure, to move beyond, to make that choice, to walk away from kind of this belief or this attitude that all circumstances will kind of play out like that one instance of disappointment, or that, you know, that repeating series of disappointments, that in some way you are able to kind of extract yourself from that, to gain a greater clarity and a greater appreciation for, you know, the shadow aspect of yourself. You're able to look past this sort of this circumstance, or this element that is very reminiscent of something you've dealt with before, and you are able to really decipher and see who this person is at their core, who this person is as a person, which again, they may have outgrown kind of that tendency to sort of take advantage of all the attention that they are getting, this very magnetic quality about them. Maybe it's just even about their energy, that in some way they have kind of overcome that. And there's things that they do to prove that to you, demonstrations that they give, an emotional openness, a willingness to, kind of face these things, to talk these things through, to hold space for you, to really honor your boundaries and to, hear your concerns. There's things that they do in a material sense that really prove their commitment to you, that prove that this is somebody different or, elevated or kind of beyond sort of an immature energy you had been dealing with previously. For some of you, and this feels like a very small percentage, maybe just like 1 or 2, because this is definitely what's next in love. This could be somebody from your past returning, maybe after a substantial period of time, after some kind of an ending has taken place. Maybe again, there was an issue with somebody who garnered a lot of attraction and maybe, kind of took advantage of that. It was almost a Casanova energy in the past when you were dealing with them. They have had some kind of enlightenment, some kind of growth or evolution that has happened within them, some kind of maturation that has happened within them. This can be somebody even you dealt with, maybe like young love or new love, something from your very kind of early experience in romance. And you're fast forwarding, years or even decades, kind of later in life, you are re-encountering this person. And sort of that impulsivity, that urge to kind of play the field or to be very unattached, it has given way to a more settled energy, a more balanced energy, a more grounded energy, somebody who's really got their priorities in mind and in place, somebody who may have really been burned by and experienced karma, by this tendency within them to, just kind of continue to progress toward the next thing. Not really appreciating what they have or not being very serious about commitment, but just seeking really quantity over quality. That in some way, this can be somebody who has really evolved past that. Whether this is, again, somebody from your past that you had these dealings with that has learned through the kind of the karma, what they have reaped from that tendency, and they are now showing up to you. You're encountering them perhaps by chance with that rainbow, perhaps by a series of synchronicities or serendipities that you are kind of encountering this person, and it's what they are displaying to you is this evolution, is this display of change that gives you a greater appreciation for, kind of this time apart not having been in vain, for some sort of a growth or a maturation that has happened within this person, a change in their perspective, a closure of one version of them, so that there is a possibility of something new that can sprout between the two of you. If this is not somebody you've dealt with previously, this is a completely new person. This can again be something in their past where they have really learned from that. They really have gotten a taste of their own medicine in some way of, again, kind of taking advantage of that magnetic quality of who they are, this attractiveness about them. In some way, they have really turned the page in their life and they are prioritizing, the feelings of other people, kind of looking for something more stable. They have switched that sort of goal of themselves, and now it is someone who is in the pursuit of quality versus quantity. With this Knight of Cups, this can also talk about somebody who is deeply empathic, somebody who really absorbs the energies of circumstances around them, people around them, somebody who may be really sought after to transmute energies for others. They could really be kind of the shoulder that everybody cries upon. It might be a struggle for this person, and they have had to work very hard to be able to kind of separate their energy from what they are absorbing from their environments. Somebody who may need to who may also be sort of introverted or may need to really withdraw to clear their energy, to cleanse their energy, to really process maybe difficult or heavy circumstances or, people that are very low vibrational that they are dealing with. It may require sort of time away, time to themselves to really center and ground, to really sort of filter that out, to cleanse that out from themselves in order to sort of recalibrate and come back to that place of center. This is somebody also with this idea of balance here in the Two of Pentacles. Promises that they make, they are very adept at following through on those promises with actions. If this is somebody from the past that you were dealing with, this is the energy of a demonstration of change, not just honeyed words, but there's proof of this, that they've changed their life, they've changed their lifestyle, they've changed their priorities. If this is not somebody from your past, if this is a completely new person, then this is somebody more reliable, more stable, has a lot more follow through than what you may have been dealing with previously, which is part of that. If there is this element where jealousy is a factor, something is, really triggered within you that you're needing to kind of overcome and sort of neutralize within yourself, then this person's consistency, the words that they are saying lining up with the actions, any kind of fears of sneakiness being really negated by kind of proof of the opposite, proof of this very genuine and dedicated and very truthful energy, that all of that really helps in sort of overcoming this hurdle, this thing that has been triggered within you. This is somebody who's very consistent as well, not an in and out energy, not a wishy-washy energy, but somebody who, almost becomes laser focused on this circumstance. When they make a commitment to you, when they make a promise to you, when they make a date with you, they're going to keep that. They're going to honor that. Somebody who really, shows up and provides you not only with the joy of companionship, but it's also this very tangible gift of kind of the opportunity, sort of the stage which is set by your dynamic and by who they are as an individual. It again helps to unearth some of these kind of buried things within you, these kind of core wounds or ways in which you've been kind of giving your power away to old narratives. They help you transcend this in some way, to where this helps to strengthen the bond between the two of you. This element of triumph, this element of, recognizing and having sort of the past brought up, dredged up in some way, some past within yourself, and the ways in which you were able to confront that and to close out that chapter, to close that door, to put that final end to that, to walk away from that tendency, maybe even a tendency you have to self-sabotage, even through just that energy of skepticism or mistrust, that this person in some way really helps to kind of break that cycle or pattern, really breaks that trend, or helps to prove to you that not everybody is like your ex, not everybody is like the people you've been dealing with before, not everybody is a Casanova, that there can be this very, tangible and palpable sort of chemistry between two people that can be sort of followed through with a deep emotional connection and consistency, dedication, somebody who, is very concerned with monogamy, somebody who, that when they commit to you, they only have eyes for you. They're not, the head isn't turning, and they aren't out looking for the next option, the next best thing to come along, the next kind of glittery thing to sort of take their attention. But this is somebody who has a very mature approach to kind of love and partnership, somebody who has really learned some lessons, has outgrown some kind of player phase of their life, and is at a point of wanting to settle down, wanting to be very serious, or in some way has matured and grown out of maybe an impulsive energy that they were in before. With all of this fire energy, this can tie into somebody who is very artistic as well in nature, maybe a little bit eccentric, or even kind of, outspoken, or sort of, they could be somebody with a very loud presence, a very loud personality. Even if this is somebody who's kind of introverted, somebody who, really kind of seeks to sort of protect and shield their own energy and just really observe, somebody who's deeply empathic. They have a very large presence. People notice them when they walk in the room, even if they are kind of a quiet person, even if they are somebody that, is tries not to make a splash, they do nonetheless. Somebody who may work in some kind of a healing profession, something of an emotional nature. Maybe this is some kind of a counselor or some kind of a life coach. This also feels like somebody that people turn to for advice. Again, that shoulder to cry on. They may almost be a magnet for people who are struggling, people who are going through some storms and difficulties, who recognize this person either in what they do professionally or just in the energy that they put out there as a safe space, as a place where, kind of heaviness can be processed. That this is somebody who's a non-judgmental person. Somebody who can really, maybe give sage or sound advice, somebody who has had a lot of life experience, a lot of varied experiences, a lot of highs and lows in their life, and they have kind of a greater perspective, a greater clarity about sort of the solutions to problems, or a lot of wisdom that they have to give. Somebody who really helps people to kind of pick up the pieces of their own life, or to look on the bright side of things. Somebody who really helps people to kind of align with their passions in some way, or to find that, to kind of capture that spark within themselves and really focus on that, focusing on these glimmers of hope. Someone who could be kind of optimistic, in their approach. Despite kind of a degree of heaviness, there's almost a sullen energy at times with this mature man here, where this person might get very overwhelmed by their environment, or if they are, just kind of surrounded by dense or heavy energies, again, needing that time to kind of introspect and pull away, that nonetheless they remain hopeful. They pick themselves back up out of that. That spark, that fire within them might dim or diminish at points in time, but it never fully goes out. All this fire energy can also, again, tie into that idea of perhaps an old flame that is rekindled within your life, but somebody who really also helps to spark and awaken something within you. Some kind of emotional healing, some kind of soul healing within you. A lot of chemistry in this connection, a lot of attraction, a lot of compatibility on multiple levels in this connection between you and this person. With that idea of the mature man, this can be somebody where there's an age difference. Maybe they are older than you. You could be older than them. They might be, have gray hair or graying hair, be kind of a silver fox, for example. Maybe even somebody who went kind of prematurely gray from a young age, if they are not necessarily old. Somebody who is an old soul, a wise soul, somebody who has had a lot of life experience, a lot of ups and downs in their life, and they bring with them a lot of wisdom, a lot of perspective. Somebody who really, is very invigorated, trying to make the most of the time that they have on this earth. Somebody who, really has kind of an appreciation for and a gratitude for the good times and the optimism that they share, precisely because they've been through such heaviness and through such difficulty, maybe a lot of loss in their life, a lot of death in their life, or versions of themselves that have died off. This is kind of phoenix from the ashes energy here. And each time this person is kind of reborn, each time they have had to kind of walk away from something, walk away from a version of themselves. Maybe this is somebody who has been divorced, been through multiple divorces, has had some kind of, financial setback, something to do with their career, other life circumstances, other kind of situations of loss that have really kind of brought them to their knees, have really collapsed them in some way, have burned their life to the ground in some way. Each time they rise, they are stronger, they are more compassionate, they are more insightful, they are more wise, they are more loving. It strengthens them. This is somebody who really, embodies that phoenix from the ashes energy. Circumstances that might have really just kind of extinguished other people. Somehow this person is able to really be that comeback story, to really, be a little bit worse for wear. The weight of the world almost being on this person. They may almost carry kind of this look of strain about them. There's a heaviness about them where even before talking to them, you can tell that this person has been through a lot. You can tell that for all the victories they have had, there have also been, these complete kind of obliterations, these challenges, that these victories were hard won, that this person has really fought for themselves, fought to really, claim their place in the world, rebuild themselves, reestablish themselves in some way. But each time this happens, it almost hones or brings out an aspect of this person's character that makes them more luminous. It makes them more of that light that others seek, that others kind of look to or gravitate toward, for that peace, for that healing. This could be somebody who works in does something with energy healing, for example, or resonates as a light worker, somebody who, just kind of does this by default, even if they don't consider themselves that, even if they do something completely just mundane, something just very ordinary for a living, still kind of the ways in which they touch and ignite other people, the lives in which they come into contact with. People are never the same after experiencing this person. People have a greater clarity about who they are. This person really mirroring almost the potential for others to overcome any variety and volume of adversity. Somebody who's very inspirational, somebody who represents this quiet strength, has a fire in their eyes. Their eyes might be very significant, very intense eyes, almost a light behind this person's eyes. This person being really a light in the darkness for a lot of people. And it's this quality about this person that both triggers something within you when you first meet them that causes you to almost want to recoil or, to kind of dismiss this person as a romantic possibility. But something keeps drawing you back into that, something about the consistency that they demonstrate that helps to kind of bring down that guard within you to really point the way to some kind of healing, some things that are not necessarily at issue in this situation, but kind of unresolved things within yourself that have been dormant, that are needing to be brought to the surface and kind of closed out so that you can gain more kind of peace and peace of mind, so that you can seize opportunities in life and in love that present themselves to you through this connection and kind of in other sort of ways and avenues and aspects of your life. You two may have some kind of a shared spiritual belief system, spiritual practice. You may both resonate as light workers. You may both have this kind of similar effect on people, be that empath, be that kind of that light that others gravitate towards in their darkest hours and their dark times. And there's a level of appreciation, a level of understanding that you have for one another in this component of who you are. These times where you need to kind of withdraw into yourself, kind of pull back in your own energy. It's this knowing of this shared quality between the two of you, both of you as empaths, both of you as light workers, both of you as highly sensitive individuals, high people who with a depth of emotion and a beauty of heart that is almost too exquisite for the harsh realities of this world, and times when you need to almost kind of self-protect or tend that flame within yourself, times where you need to kind of pull back and make sure that you are clearing your own energy, filling your own cup. And there's an appreciation for this process within the two of you, where at first this might be triggering for one or both of you, this kind of need to withdraw, but at a certain point it again unearths kind of and it feels like both of you really trigger some core wounds within one another. You are both this source of healing for one another. Kind of these internal foes, these things that you didn't even know were kind of following you around, these ghosts of the past that are really triggered and brought to the surface. You both really come to a deeper appreciation for both who the other person is, and then are able to kind of see within that other person who you are. You gain a deeper understanding of yourselves as individuals through dealing with one another. And again, that kind of light, that element of healing, it feels very much that it goes two ways in this situation, a very kind of triggering circumstance for the two of you, but also largely a very healing experience for the two of you, that this is not kind of a trigger meant as anything sort of negative or again, a red flag. It's almost this element of false flags. It really brings to the surface and highlights some things that need to be released from the past in order for you both to kind of step forward into the next chapter of your life and in the potential that exists in this connection. So I'm going to get some more zodiac signs, and this can be somewhere in their natal chart, or this can relate even to a time of year that is significant to this connection. And these are really small, so I doubt you'll be able to see those on camera. But we have Aquarius, so somewhere in their chart, or this can tie into the months of January and February. We've got Sagittarius, which is November and December, and Pisces, which is February and March. I'm going to get some attributes now, and there's a little bit of everything in here. There's physical characteristics, personality traits, zodiac signs. Just see what kind of comes through. Okay, and we have retreat. So that ties in with that energy of walking away. Somebody who might be kind of introverted may really need time for themselves to clear their energy, to really recalibrate, to recharge. Somebody who could definitely be an empath. Somebody who, also that element of triggering, where the two of you might really trigger something within one another, really activate something. Also with all this fire energy, this is definitely a very activating connection for the two of you. The intensity of this, you might both be drawn into this only to need kind of periods of time to sort of pull back, to withdraw, to really process what is kind of surfacing, what is being activated, to really kind of sit with and move through almost this ascension at a soul level that occurs in this dynamic and through one another. And we've got doctors, so that ties in with that element of a healing profession. This person might be in medical school, they might be a doctor. That can even tie into a psychiatrist or a counselor, a therapist of some sort. And this can also just be somebody who, again, has that very healing presence. People sort of gravitate toward this person to be healed by the light of their energy. This is, unrelated to what they do professionally. It's just a quality that they emit. Somebody who, has a lot of words of wisdom, somebody who has a very healing presence. This connection also being very healing to the two of you in terms of some core wounds that you've been carrying around. This connection really helping the two of you to kind of close out or extinguish one sort of way of approaching relationships or viewing love, or even some unconscious or core wounds that you've been carrying around. These things are brought to the surface and are closed out so you can kind of move forward, be that phoenix from the ashes for each of you into a new kind of version of self. And we've got dimples. Stubborn. So somebody who might be very kind of set in their ways, somebody who might be almost resistant as well to what's being triggered within them, somebody with that mature man. They could be, again, kind of an age difference. This could be somebody who's kind of older, who feels that there's nothing left to really learn or develop or evolve into. Somebody who feels very much that they know themselves, they're comfortable, they're set in their ways. And through this connection with you, it kind of activates something. It turns all of that upside down. So somebody who that stubbornness, that resistance to change might also be an element that is triggered within them that they are needing to face, that they are needing to kind of yield toward. Somebody who also, through all of this life experience, all of these ups and downs, all of the times they've had to really phoenix themselves up out of the ashes, and all this reference to phoenix energy. This can also be Scorpio energy, but it's something where, this person knows themselves very well. They know their tendencies. They know their habits. They know what they want. They know what they won't tolerate. And they are very adamant about that. Somebody who might be very rigid in the schedule that they keep. Somebody who has had to really work very hard to create some kind of equilibrium for themselves. And it's a structure. It's a way of being that they hold to. It's this rock. It's a foundation upon which, as much as kind of life ebb and flows, they have that to rely upon, that cornerstone off of which to rebuild themselves, in which they have rebuilt themselves time and time again. And we've got brainy, so somebody who, might be very intellectual, very well-read, very intelligent, a high IQ, kind of a wide range of diction, somebody who might be multilingual or bilingual. Somebody who knows a lot of facts, knows a lot of things, may have, with that idea of doctor, also may have kind of advanced degrees, has studied a lot in school, or is in the process of studying for some kind of an advanced degree. And we've also got free-spirited. So somebody who is very gentle in their nature, somebody who has really, just kind of allows life experiences to come towards them, and really tries not to take anything too seriously, tries to look at everything as a learning experience. Somebody who, as difficult as it may be to process kind of these heavy emotions of other people at times, is very much allowing in that, is very much understanding that they're kind of at times a dumping ground for other people's denser vibrations for a reason, that they have this capability within them to transmute that. Somebody who has really kind of accepted the fact that their journey, their path in life does involve kind of these repeating patterns and repeating series of creation and destruction. Again, this sort of phoenix energy within them. Somebody who's a very old soul, a very wise soul. Somebody who focuses and looks beyond just the material realm. Somebody who really sees and understands a spiritual component of life. And it is this understanding, it is this quality about them that makes them that fount or that resource of healing and kind of emotional sanctuary or energetic sanctuary for others. We also have salt and pepper hair. So somebody who could be starting to go gray, maybe even that idea of kind of premature gray, a little bit younger, and yet their hair is starting to turn silver. And we have psychic. So that ties in with kind of this emotional, this watery energy with the Knight of Cups. They may have psychic abilities. This may be, somebody who's very intuitive, very empathic. There could be a lot of telepathy in this connection, or somebody that you are able to kind of anticipate what they say before they say it, and vice versa. You get a feeling of when you're going to hear from them, and then they all of a sudden, pop up in your phone, or they've called you, or you run into them. Somebody who may be interested in metaphysics and kind of spirituality, somebody who may even kind of practice divination. Perhaps this is for a living, or just something, that's kind of a tool or a modality that they lean into to help them navigate kind of these denser energies. This may also be something where this is a form of that guidance or that healing that they provide for others, as this kind of divination, these kind of spiritual services. This can be somebody also where you're almost aware of their energetic presence before you actually meet them. So some kind of a past life connection between the both of you, or at least a very deep soul or spiritual connection between the both of you, an empathic connection. You really feel each other. You can sense the vibration and the fluctuation in one another's emotions. You can sense when one another is having a bad day, or needs some space and time, or is in a kind of a period of need or want, and are able to kind of respond to one another in that sense. This can also talk about psychic gifts that are really activated or enhanced within one another when the two of you meet, which can be kind of that element of overwhelm, where there's a need to sort of withdraw and process all of that, unpack all of that, really learn to sort of go with and to lean into and explore these kind of new gifts or enhanced gifts. And we've got veterinarians, so that ties in with doctor. They could be in school to be a veterinarian. This could be what they do for a living. Connection to animals might be significant. And this can also really, with that animal connection, tie into deep empathy that this person has. And we've got desert, so they could live in the desert, travel to the desert. You could spend time in the desert, almost this idea of like a vision quest or shamanic journey work, kind of that idea also of needing to retreat, somebody who needs a lot of alone time to recharge, somebody who may also come into your life. If this is somebody from your past, it's almost like a desert, a substantial amount of time has gone by. Years or decades in between when you've seen one another. And it's like it's been crossing this vast expanse of nothing happening in this connection, knowing nothing about what's going on with this person, and all of a sudden you encounter one another again. This can also tie into somebody who comes in after kind of a desert period in your romantic life, not a lot happening, not a lot of prospects, nobody certainly that sets your soul on fire, triggers you in the same kind of way. It's just been sort of ordinary connections, ordinary love, kind of run of the mill, maybe a period of time where you've been focused on other things, on your career, on self-healing, and just really haven't been giving kind of love a priority. And it feels that this person is almost an oasis in the desert, a breath of fresh air, very refreshing connection. As triggering as this may be, it's very refreshing to meet somebody also who shares so many similarities with you, this psychic connection, that psychic aspect, this empathic connection. It's this idea of almost birds of a feather when the two of you find each other. And we've got the letter B. mysterious. So that could definitely be scorpionic energy right there. And also kind of ties in with that idea of somebody who needs to kind of retreat and process, somebody who might be kind of quiet or introspective or very observant, somebody who likes to really take in and digest and really feel into all the subtleties and nuances of people that they're getting to meet and circumstances. Somebody who, isn't necessarily going to say everything that's on their mind or in their heart right away. Somebody who may have been kind of impulsive, even somebody who had some kind of anger management issue that they had needed to work through earlier in their life, and they've almost settled into themselves. They've almost tempered this aspect of themselves. They keep a little more to themselves. They may have been somebody who overshared in the past, but they have created balance within themselves, where they're understanding that within that silence there is power. Somebody who is really, concerned with kind of maintaining that personal power and that autonomy, rather than kind of this urge almost with that empath to sort of overgive of themselves. They've developed into this stage of learning the necessity to kind of keep something for themselves, the necessity of filling their own cup, tending their own garden, rather than giving to the point of depletion or exhaustion of themselves, their emotions, their energy, their resources to others. And we have medium build. That could be a body type. Got spiritual awakening. So this can be somebody who is on a spiritual path, who has undergone some kind of spiritual awakening that has really kind of tied into this changed energy, this idea of phoenix from the ashes, a lot of maybe tower moments or a significant kind of dark night of the soul, maybe a series of these things where versions of this person have kind of been shaped and calibrated through these spiritual experiences. You may really activate something, awaken something within one another. Almost like a second or third or whatever number it would be, spiritual awakening, like here you are both again. You have come to a place of certainty and stability with who you are in your sort of awakened or ascended state, or on that ascension path. And by interacting with one another, it almost opens the floodgates to a whole new layer of that, bringing up a lot of these triggers from deep within, these things that are needing to be healed and sort of cauterized and moved beyond. You awaken one another to deeper psychic gifts. You awaken one another to a greater potential of love and connectedness as well. And we have brown eyes. Firefighter. So this can be something they do for a profession, something they are studying or working towards when you meet them. This also really is tying into that idea of phoenix from the ashes and all of this fire energy here. Somebody who is very passionate, somebody who has really been working towards self-mastery, toward, kind of tempering some of that fire within themselves to make it more a constructive burn rather than a destructive burn within themselves. Somebody who helps to really ignite, even just through their energy, just through their innate interactions with others, kind of that fire within. Somebody who helps to really reignite a fire within you in some way, regarding romance, regarding passions, regarding almost the next level or layer of your own spiritual progress. The two of you really activate this within one another. And it's something that despite these triggers, despite this urge and these times of almost pulling away or withdrawing energetically from one another, this is a situation where you both are really fighting through that. You're both really committed to sort of overcoming these things. There's a lot of victory in that sense as well. A lot of series of triumphs, that this is not kind of a fire of intensity that burns the two of you to the ground. It decimates the potential here. This is a fire that really helps to invigorate, helps to bring the two of you to life, helps to warm the two of you, or provide some deeper illumination for kind of the purpose of your journey up to this point in time, for who you are and what you want going forward. And we also have 1111. So that can be, for For some of you, this can signify that this is a twin flame, maybe somebody coming back around, somebody you are reuniting with. Perhaps this is your true twin flame that you are meeting. You may have thought of yourself on a twin flame journey, only to really discover when you meet this person, this is the real deal. This is the genuine article. This is that connection that, triggers and helps to kind of nurture and grow one another. That you become better versions of self through this kind of interaction and dynamic with one another. This can also tie into seeing the number 1111 a lot as kind of a precursor to meeting this person. Maybe you see that a lot in conjunction with them. This can be kind of that sign or that nudge. This can also tie into kind of an ascension path or a spiritual path to people who are awakened, who are aware of that, who have kind of a similar spiritual language, are open to these same kinds of concepts. This can tie into a lot of synchronicities, serendipities that are involved in this. A lot in your backstory, a lot in your experience. It really mirrors one another. You two are that mirror for one another, for kind of these deep wounds within one another, and also kind of that mirrored sort of source of that healing energy, that as much as you are this kind of fount of transmutation for other people that you encounter in your lives, you perform that function for one another in a very perfect manner. You kind of highlight and are that that safe space for one another, for kind of stepping further into your personal power, for clarifying who you are as individuals and clarifying your own energy in a more profound way. Elements and things you may have overlooked about yourselves, practices and techniques and things that you have really kind of carved out or harnessed or kind of rocks upon which you have built the foundation of who you are. These being very kind of untapped or unknown things to one another. You really share that information with one another. You really open each other up to kind of a new sort of way of understanding who you are, that dynamic of, being a light worker, being an empath, being the type of, sort of phoenix soul that is constantly, that vehicle or that agent for change through that personal process of transformation, of kind of dissolving only to coagulate into a new and sort of more compassionate and more loving version of self. And we've got meditation. So somebody who, might have a meditation practice, introduces you to a meditation practice. This can be kind of that shared space, that safe space, that need for quiet, that need for introspection. This can also really talk about somebody who is very balanced, somebody who, their life has changed when they took on a meditation practice. Somebody who really brings you deeply within yourself to contemplate, to think about life and to think about love in a way that you hadn't before. And we have scientist. So this can talk about somebody with a very kind of logical mind, somebody who, is a problem solver, somebody who's very curious, somebody who has kind of a thirst for knowledge, somebody who, is very, kind of knows a lot, reads a lot, knows a lot of facts about things. That can tie into that element of doctor, something in a medical profession, or even something to do with research, something to do with, different kind of experiments that the two of you have engaged in personally or together, as far as, your psychic gifts, your psychic abilities, kind of testing out this telepathy, testing out this synchronicity, testing out this soul connection, this empathic connection that the two of you really share with one another. A lot of exchange of theory also, tenets that the two of you have really discovered about yourselves, that have really helped you in your own sort of personal development or in your spiritual development. A lot of exchange of ideas in that sense, really opening each other up to new ways of doing and looking at things, evaluating kind of the mystery of self and the mystery of kind of the life experience, the human experience, and the two of you really kind of working in collaboration in that sense to, kind of separate myth from reality and to expand beyond sort of the current parameters and limitations of maybe how you understand yourself, how you apply these spiritual gifts, what you envision for, your life purpose or your life path, really an experimentation of kind of stepping beyond that. a safe space that you find in one another to really explore a lot of these new things that are unfolding within the two of you. And in some way, there's something that you two create together, some kind of an energy that you create, the combined force of the two of you. It really, even just from a distance, it enhances almost that healing element to others. And we've got petite, so that can be another body type. Got the letter Y. We've got Leo, so that can be in the natal chart, or this can tie into the months of July and August. Got May, so that could be a name, or this can tie into even the zodiac signs of Taurus and Gemini. Wedding, so that ties in with 1111, the wedding card, the Four of Wands in tarot. This can be somebody that you end up marrying. This feels like the two of you really come into this union in the higher levels, at the soul level, that then sort of ripples out into this 3D experience with one another. This is the card of the meeting of the minds, the combining of forces, the fusion of two energies into kind of this larger force of change and empowerment. You could meet this person at a wedding. You could have a lot of kind of similar experiences, shared experiences, where, even things in your backstory to where, there is this almost bond between the two of you that is formed through the multiple layers of who you are as individuals and kind of the experiences that have shaped you and kind of the different pyres upon which you have sort of been eviscerated in order to kind of rise from that, be that phoenix from the ashes. And we have restaurant. So this person could be a chef, could be, a restaurant manager, a server, work in the food industry. This could be, they could be a restaurant owner, somebody who is really good in the kitchen, somebody who likes to cook. So that scientist, somebody who likes to kind of invent recipes, or, cooks purely by sense, by instinct, as opposed to, following a recipe. You could spend a lot of time out, eating out. That could be kind of one of the activities that the two of you like to do together. We've got the letter M. And we've got fire signs, so Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Outgoing, so somebody that, is very friendly, as much as they may have times where they need to be kind of withdrawn or process their own energy. Somebody who is very giving in their nature, somebody who always is willing to lend a hand, be that shoulder to cry on, somebody who has that good advice to give, knows just the right things to say, or even just to when to be silent and really hold space for somebody to process what they're going through. This feels like somebody who may approach you first, who may be the outgoing one, the one to sort of initiate contact, initiate this connection, somebody who will be the page turner in this circumstance, will take the lead, will really advance this connection beyond its kind of initial phases, somebody who even through all this triggering, rather than people you may have dealt with before who really ran when things were triggered, this is somebody who leans back into that, feels that trigger, and comes deeper, steps closer, rather than pulling far away. And we've also got blue eyes. Friend, so you could start off as friends with this person. There's a foundation of friendship that really helps to solidify kind of this intense and activating energy between the two of you. That there's a lot that you maybe have in common with one another, or just an energy exchange with one another, to where it feels like a very friendly and safe and very casual space, and that kind of being sort of the counterpart to this very intense and activating energy. So it's almost like two layers of what's happening here. There's what's being established between the two of you in the 3D, and then there's also a lot that is really happening and transmuting up in those higher realms, up in the 5D and kind of in the emotional body, these core wounds that are being brought out. And it's this friendliness, this caring for one another, this caring for one another's well-being, that is beyond just kind of sort of romantic goals that the two of you have that help you to kind of move through this process of personal transformation. You may meet this person through a friend. You could also have kind of a common circle of friends, or you meet through some sort of shared community. And we've got automobile, so they may be a mechanic. They may be very mechanically inclined, kind of with the scientists, very kind of logical minded, a problem solver, somebody who, really likes to get in and tinker around with things, tinker around with engines, literally, or even kind of the engine of the soul, the engine of the psyche, somebody who may be very versed and adept at kind of self-help, who is really engaged in that process, who takes that very seriously, somebody you could live at a distance from, but not so far that it is unreachable by car. Somebody that you may spend a lot of time just going out for drives with. Somebody who, will really also kind of cross those barriers of distance in order to meet you where you are. Somebody who, with whatever is triggered within them by this circumstance, or when you are triggered and you are needing to kind of withdraw, somebody who will be that outgoing, someone who will, kind of make the effort in the situation to kind of continue the momentum in the circumstance. Somebody who will not just wait for you to come to them, drawing that line in the sand and standing there very firmly, but somebody who will, kind of make that effort, make that outreach to kind of access you, to reach you at those times where you've withdrawn into yourself. Somebody who will sit there with you in the dark while you are processing kind of these heavier emotions or going through this process of change within you. And we also have intelligent. So somebody who, is very well read, somebody who, is kind of a sponge of information, somebody who has a lot of wisdom, a lot of ideas to share, a lot of deep conversations that the two of you have. And we've also got dark night of the soul, so that ties in with spiritual awakening and something being activated within the two of you. This may spark some kind of a dark night of the soul through this encounter with one another, but it feels to be a very positive course of change. It feels different from other dark night of the souls that you may have experienced previously, where you have this companion there with you, the two of you really supporting one another through this process. And we've also got astrology, so that ties in with psychic, someone who might be into astrology. There may be a lot of compatibility in your natal charts. Maybe you are both the same sign, or there's, again, just a lot of compatibility with that. It ties in with the 1111 card as well to indicate sort of this energy of serendipity. The stars are aligned. If this is right person, wrong time when you first meet them, it almost feels that circumstances realign themselves over the course of this dynamic to where it becomes right person and then the time is right. You are both advanced to that point of rightness. And we also have dreams. So you could definitely meet with this person in dreams. You could be very familiar with them through the dream state before you encounter them. You could even at this point, kind of as a precursor to meeting them, be dreaming of them currently. With all this fire energy, it feels like somebody who's in very near proximity to you. You may meet them very soon if you don't already know them. You could have some kind of a greater expansion of a dream as well, a dream of sort of where life is taking you, who you are, what you want for yourself, what sort of the purpose of all these experiences of a spiritual and personal nature have been. In some way, this person really helps to activate and helps you to reach your dreams and goals. You help to really ignite within this person also dreams they may have deferred, things that they may have kind of moved beyond having hope and that are all of a sudden resurrected. A dream of true love that they had kind of given up on is now brought back into the surface of reality. It now becomes a possibility and a potential again. They see something in you, the person of their dreams, perhaps literally, or just as you two are getting to know each other, you really understand that there is this balance here. That the two of you are very kind of well matched. You are well equipped to deal with these ebbs and flows within one another. You really understand one another on a deep level. You are very similar with one another despite any kind of apparent differences. And that it's almost a dream circumstance having this kind of these layers of sort of friendship and romance and kind of this deep soul knowing that it fits that perfect package. It's beyond what either of you dreamed was possible in a connection with another person, and that can be part of that element of triggering almost this fear of, is this too good to be true, where you're almost tempted to kind of push this away or withdraw. This person is tempted to push this away or withdraw, and yet you keep coming back toward one another. You keep fighting through that and sort of leaning in closer, working with each other, working in tandem through this kind of next layer of your spiritual awakening, this kind of deepening of the ascension journey, and a deepening of kind of coming home to yourselves and then coming home to each other. So I'm going to get some initials for you now. Group 2, this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got P, Q, S, D, J, E, B, U, X, V, H, M, and Z. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I now offer pre-recorded video readings, and that is sent to you as a private YouTube link. The turnaround time on those is 3 to 5 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers. All of that is available in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the clear quartz, along with these cards, which I'll start with to see what's next in love for singles. I've got the Five of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Three of Pentacles, which is earth energy, Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Seven of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Ace of Wands, so more of that fire energy. Shaman, ancient healing wisdom. River, movement. Judication. Privileged lady. Deceit. And man holding a heart. So this could be somebody who comes into your life at a time when you have just started to rebuild. Maybe you have gone through a divorce. With this Judication and Five of Swords, it could have been a messy divorce. It could have been a very costly divorce, something where infidelity was a factor with the Deceit card here. You're very defensive at the time that you meet this person with Seven of Wands, understandably so. You really need to guard your heart, perhaps guard what stability you have built for yourself. You may have been somebody who you had been married for a while, and it's this idea of being kind of freshly out into the dating world, into the dating pool, freshly out into this energy of being very single and very autonomous with that privileged lady. And so there is a degree of caution. You are protecting your heart. You're protecting your interests in some way. And so when this person really presents themselves to you with man holding a heart and that Ace of Wands, it's very unexpected. It's something that you're a little bit skeptical of at first. You're a little bit cautious about this at first. But this person is very consistent in their demonstrations to you that this is, a safe person. This is a person that, is different from maybe who you've been dealing with in the past. This is somebody who, really through consistency and through this very gentle energy of shaman, this very intuitive energy, is able to really perceive beyond the barriers that you have in place, to really recognize some wounding that you hold within them. This is a patient person who is allowing you the time that you need to open up gradually to them and to this connection. This is not somebody who's going to put a lot of pressure on you, who's going to be very overwhelming in their approach. Somebody who really senses and appreciates and respects the boundaries and the barriers that you have in place, and allows this connection to unfold very organically. This connection really helps you with this idea of healing and also movement in river. This connection really helps to provide you a lot of emotional healing through a different kind of experience than what you had had. If you've been in this period of kind of picking yourself up out of loss, this is a very refreshing experience with this person, of a gentle energy, of a love that isn't costly, of a love that is, reciprocal. An experience with somebody that, just flows very organically. There's not a lot of pressure in this. And kind of in that ease of allowing things to unfold naturally, there's healing within that. There's a level of comfort. A spark that is ignited between the two of you is allowed to really kind of grow and generate at a very gradual pace. There's a lot of attraction between the two of you. This is somebody who really, based on almost this intangible attraction that you have to them, it's motivation to kind of let these walls down, to let these barriers down, to let love in. This is the healing power of love here that helps you to kind of identify as well, and sort of neutralize any sort of lingering hurts that you may have had in conjunction to ways in which you felt you'd been tricked in love before, when you felt that your intuition had misled you before, that this person really is kind of the real deal. This person really is, very genuine, a very, caring person, a very emotional person. You might have dealt with narcissists in the past that had almost kind of love bombed you, or had been kind of manipulative with you in the past. And so you've come to a place of learning to kind of have some discernment, to guard yourself, to have this healthy skepticism, to really not, trying to contain yourself from just moving impulsively in the direction of love or in the direction of attraction. But this point in your life where you really are, weighing out the experiences that you've had in the past, kind of the damage that you've had to sustain off of these very maybe toxic connections, or one connection specifically that had kind of left a lasting impression of defeat. You've really taken your power back from that circumstance. And this person is that evidence of change. This person really helps you to sort of move beyond that experience by creating new memories for yourself. A situation where you are appreciated, you are valued, you are recognized for who you are, not what can be attained or accomplished. Not for how you look on somebody's arm, or how you look in photographs with them, how that appears to others. You might have been dealing with energies before that were very kind of surface level. There was a very superficial connection, and there's a level of depth to this person and to this situation that in some way brings you past kind of that previous experience, that previous disappointment in love, where you again are really seen and valued for who you are at your core, as opposed to what you look like, as opposed to what you maybe have to offer or bring to the table of a financial nature, or some kind of a status symbol. This is deeper than that. This is something that really is, the core of two people who genuinely enjoy each other's company, who genuinely want the best for one another, who will allow that time and space for these walls to be brought down gradually. Somebody who's very cognizant of the struggles that you've been through, even who is able to just kind of perceive that without really pressing or poking or trying to kind of get you to reveal too much about the difficulties you face, but somebody who is able to really sense that, really anticipate that, somebody who might be very empathic, somebody who's very emotionally mature, and who understands kind of the tells, the indicators of somebody who has, sustained some major disappointment and is therefore very guarded, very cautious, not so willing to just open themselves up to kind of the first thing that comes along, or the first offer that they get, but that you're practicing some sort of personal discernment. You've taken your power back. You're loving yourself. You are recognizing your worth and your value. You've maybe experienced some kind of a glow up in your life, and you have really kind of raised the standards on who has access to you and your energy. And this person is very much aware of that. And it's a very patient energy where they are willing to put in the work and the effort to prove that this is a trustworthy situation, to prove that this is someone who will fight with you, as opposed to be this opponent or this adversarial energy, somebody who respects this independent nature about you. Somebody who's very independent and knows themselves also on a certain level, on a comparable level. Somebody who's very emotionally mature. Somebody who may have also gone through some kind of an instance of devastation in their own life. And so the two of you are really kind of meeting each other in this guarded sort of stance, to where you're needing to kind of gradually let those walls down together. You're gradually needing to kind of let those barriers sort of drop. And it's at a very comfortable and organic pace at which the two of you really fan the flames of this connection. With this idea of shaman and this ancient healing wisdom, this can definitely be a past life connection that you share with this person, an instant soul recognition that you have with them, a sense of deja vu that you may have gotten as well, or if you already know them or will get a sense of having, known them before, a familiarity with this person at a soul level. In a lot of ways, kind of the wounds and the experiences that they have had mirror some experience in your life, and and you're really able to look to each other to both be the teacher and student for how to come into this greater sort of understanding about the journey that you've been on, the experiences you've had, how these things have shaped you, and how to really transcend these things. With this idea of Ace of Wands, this can be somebody who, is very passionate, somebody who has a lot of energy, somebody who might also in some way be kind of a workaholic as well. With that Three of Pentacles, they devote a lot of their time to their craft, toward whatever they labor at. This may have also been kind of all that they had standing in their life was their work after a period of other things having crumbled away. This has been something which has always been very reliable for them. It has always been that base, that foundation when everything else has kind of been rocked. It's something that they take very seriously. There's almost a ritual aspect to whatever it is they do for a living as well. Something very repetitive. Somebody who, makes things with their hands, or who just has kind of a routine or something that they do for a living that is very, it's a very predictable schedule that they keep to. It's not kind of a situation that has a lot of kind of unexpected twists and turns. Obviously, things always come up, kind of little hiccups occur, but it's something where it's a very kind of procedural job that they have. This could be somebody who also with this judication works in law enforcement or in the legal profession. That can tie in with this element of kind of certain rules or regulations that are the parameters of whatever it is that they do for a living. With this idea of healing, they could be somebody who, in some way helps to restore justice to people. On the other side of that, this can talk about somebody who also fixes up houses or restores cars or, restores antiques or, just kind of finds things that have been neglected or in kind of a place of disrepair. This can also talk about somebody who works as a counselor in a counseling profession and really helps to kind of bring back to life or create a sense of wholeness within others who are kind of struggling, who have been sort of neglected, who have been through, difficult circumstances, difficult periods of loss. This can be somebody who's a grief counselor or somebody who has had to themselves kind of go through grief counseling, either self-help or counseling with like a licensed professional, somebody who may also kind of practice sort of what would be almost like an alternative spirituality, like shamanism, for example. Somebody who, might have kind of pagan beliefs or more animistic beliefs as opposed to more traditional religious beliefs. Somebody who has found a lot of healing in that, kind of in the rewilding of themselves, kind of a getting back to basics. Somebody who may have also come from a very traditional background and has kind of broken away from that, branched away from that in the interest of more of cultivating their spiritual self, as opposed to, maybe more rigid traditions that they had been versed in. This feels like somebody as well that their love language will be words of love. It will be affirmations of love. This is somebody who's very emotionally mature, somebody who expresses their feelings, somebody who doesn't run from emotions, but rather leans into that. Somebody who has really cultivated within themselves a deep understanding of their feelings, who again may have sought out counseling or some kind of talk therapy, somebody who is, very comfortable with discussing how they are feeling, even difficult feelings. Somebody who, doesn't run from these things, doesn't run from those shadows, but fights that urge to kind of withdraw or to flee or to compartmentalize. That could be very refreshing and very healing for you. You may have been dealing with people who are kind of emotionally avoidant in the past, and this person is the opposite of that. This person is the progression forward. This person is the other side of that coin, of somebody who is able and willing to kind of own their feelings. Kind of an element here of somebody who is, sort of a living embodiment of that 5D self. a very kind of rare individual, somebody who may have gone through a lot of personal transformation in themselves, somebody who is that kind of living example of the, ascended masculine or the ascended feminine, just depending on whatever energies you resonate with and that this person resonates with. They are that example of that, of working diligently through those shadows and kind of transcending that, creating that balance of kind of ego and the higher self, honoring a space for both of these things. And it's that progression forward. It's that movement forward. It's that next and elevated way of showing up here in the material plane as being almost in the world, but not of the world. So this person could take their spirituality very seriously. This person could be kind of pioneering or experimenting with, or even sort of reclaiming a lot of traditions from their past, their personal past, their cultural past, or even their soul heritage, things that they resonate with, practices that have been kind of overlooked for some period of time that this person is really, that's an interest that they have, either something that they maybe do as a profession, like a spiritual profession, or just something that, they themselves in their own individual life are highly focused on doing that, on really incorporating that into who they are, and that it has been a source of healing for them. Somebody who may have some kind of a platform for others, where they are teaching others, they are coaching others, they are mentoring others in that process of healing, in that process of rewilding, in this ability to kind of move forward from periods of disaster or disappointment or defeat, move forward, pick up the pieces, gather up those shards and those kind of loose ends and tie that together to reform or fashion or a reimagined life for oneself. Somebody who is definitely in alignment with their life's purpose, who has undergone some kind of a spiritual awakening, is on that ascension journey, is feeling themselves to have kind of that their experiences in this life and who they are has a greater significance than just them as the individual. Somebody who really is focused on trying to give back, trying to help others, trying to encourage or spark or initiate the healing within others, kind of this idea of self-healing, although this could tie into somebody who works in the medical profession, in the healing profession in some way, again, like a counselor, or maybe a doctor, a therapist, or a physical therapist, for example, somebody who helps to kind of right the wrongs or the dis-ease or the disharmony that exists within people, so that progression can happen, so that movement can happen, evolution can happen, so that chapters can be closed and kind of a new day can dawn for an individual. This person may also, in terms of physical characteristics, may have facial hair or even long hair or dark hair or brown hair. All of that is really coming up here. They may also be from an indigenous background, Native American, South American is coming up as well, or Eastern European, like a shamanic culture. All of that is coming up as possible sort of backgrounds for this person, or even just kind of belief systems and practices that really resonate with them and that they've kind of incorporated into their world, into their life. They could also be somebody who's really interested in kind of archaeology and history, a person who is very well versed in religions or philosophy, in spirituality, definitely somebody who's on a spiritual path, who has found a lot of kind of balance between that. Again, somebody who is in the world but not of the world. They may work just a very kind of predictable and practical and just unassuming sort of day job, and then there's this whole other element, this whole other side of this person, a very well-rounded and balanced person, a very practical and yet emotional person. Somebody who, regardless of gender, is very comfortable in their yin energy, in their receptive energy. Somebody who may be very psychic, very intuitive, very empathic, and is able to kind of vacillate between that kind of masculine polarity of action-oriented energy, of forward momentum, versus that kind of yin, that feminine polarity of energy, which is observation and receptivity. This person has a balance of both. both. They have cultivated a balance of both within them. They have actively seek to heal and continue to heal kind of these distortions of both polarities within self. It's this self-healing work, the self-acceptance work, self-help, or even work with a therapist or some kind of a spiritual practice that has really sparked them. It has really changed their life in some significant way that has helped them to create that balance within themselves. This could be a shared community that you have. This might be how you meet this person, is that kind of shared interest, something that you really click, that you really connect with each other on. There's this idea of teacher and student as well, that you really help to sort of heal and advance this aspect of one another through your individual practices. You really introduce one another to different ways and beliefs and ways of doing things than you had previously kind of thought of or had endeavored or had experienced in your own sort of individual journeys and practices. With this idea of river also, they could live by a river, they could like to spend time outdoors, maybe rafting, kayaking, fishing. This could be somebody who lives in kind of a rural setting, or at least if they live in a city, they like to get away out into nature, out into a cabin, out into a very kind of remote area. Maybe somebody who likes to go camping. And just kind of spending time out there. Again, maybe somebody with kind of a nature-based religion or kind of a spiritual practice that they have. Somebody who has really sought to connect with their roots and has found a lot of personal strength and empowerment and healing in that. This can be kind of a shared experience for the two of you, something that you really connect with, or something that you really help to inspire and spark within one another. I'm also feeling with this big heart here on man holding a heart. Valentine's Day could be significant to this connection, or even the month of February, or this could be an Aquarius that you are dealing with or will be dealing with. So I'm going to get some more zodiac signs. This can be things in their natal chart. This can relate to times of year that are significant to when you'll meet this person or to this connection. And these are really small, so I'll just read what they are because I doubt that you can see them on camera. But we have Cancer, so that can be in the natal chart or can relate to the months of June and July. And we also have Scorpio, so this can be October and November. I'm going to get some attribute cards now, attribute papers. There's a little bit of everything in here. There's personality traits, physical characteristics, zodiac signs. Okay, and we have books. So somebody who may write spiritual texts or, is very well read, has a very extensive spiritual library, or just collects books in general. Somebody who might be kind of a student of life. Somebody who might be in the process of writing a book, has a dream to do that, writing a memoir, almost is trying to live their best life, live a life worth writing about, that this has become very important for them. This might be somebody who almost is kind of a story of the underdog having triumphed, that whatever they've been through in their life, it's the stuff of novels, it's the stuff of books. It almost seems like fantasy or like fiction, and yet it is this person's life. It is their reality. The two of you might also, with this idea of books, this is talking or kind of bringing to mind also a lot of communication in a virtual sense with one another, a lot of text messages, emails, conversations back and forth, direct messages, a lot of exchange in that sense, either due to some kind of a distance between the both of you, some kind of geographic distance. Maybe it is this shared community that you meet one another through, some kind of a venue where there are, a lot of things being posted. Blogs being posted, or comments, maybe commenting on each other's social media sites. If one or both of you is, again, it feels like a shared community, a spiritual community. So if one or both of you has some kind of a social media presence, this could be somebody who's very active in that community, as part of that community, as part of your soul tribe or your soul family. And this can be how that kind of connection initially sparks, is this shared interest, this mutual community where the two of you really dialogue back and forth with one another. You exchange ideas, and then it evolves into something more. And we also have funny, so somebody with a really good sense of humor, somebody who makes you laugh, somebody with almost a very loud and boisterous laugh, a smile that lights up the room, somebody with a playful sense of humor, almost a little bit of a trickster energy, where they're going to, just kind of do little things to get you to smile, or, somebody who likes to play little jokes, little pranks, to where it almost might seem a little bit kind of immature, childish at first, but it's something which you kind of after that initial period of rolling your eyes, you find it very heartwarming, very endearing. Somebody who really makes you laugh, somebody who really cheers you up when you're feeling difficulties, when you're facing some heaviness. Somebody who also maybe uses humor as a way to deflect from tension, to lighten the mood of the room. Somebody who might be a comedian as well, maybe something that they do just as a hobby, as something on the side, something kind of an amateur thing that they do, maybe something that they're working toward, that they're striving toward. Comedy could be very important. Laughter being kind of an important source of medicine, and this person understanding that, somebody who seeks to almost raise the vibration within themselves and others around them. Somebody who has an ability to sort of transmute dense energies into a lighter vibration. And we've got genuine, so somebody who is very honest, very direct, very clear about their intentions towards you. You might have been dealing with, again, kind of narcissistic personalities, people who are very, deceptive, very sneaky in the past. And this person is this breath of fresh air, this change, it is evolution beyond that. Where you were dealing with, dishonesty, you then have this genuine person. Somebody who, will be very open about their feelings, will express these things. If they're feeling very pressured by the connection, or they're feeling uncomfortable, or they're feeling that their boundaries are almost being breached, that, there are kind of periods of wounding that they are still needing to work through. This is somebody who's not going to ghost or just withdraw. This is somebody who's going to express that. They're going to speak that. They're going to make their feelings known in a way that the two of you are then able to kind of navigate with each other through these kind of circumstances, so that progress can happen, so the conversation remains open, the dialogue remains open between the two of you. And we have manifestation. So this really talks about kind of the culmination of the work you have done within yourselves, both of you, on a spiritual path, on a journey to enlightenment, to self-healing, to self-actualization. The two of you really manifest each other as the result of that. This person mirrors kind of a higher vibration you have stepped into, and you for them. You are the counterpart for one another in this kind of higher version of self, that it has taken the personal struggles, the defeat and the loss, the picking up the pieces, that taking of your power back, that, having and raising that standard, having that discernment, exercising that, sticking to that, and yet that openness to let love kind of seep past those barriers, to bring down those walls gradually. The two of you really co-creating at a very organic pace this connection with one another. You are kind of the prize at the end of that struggle, or the end of this process, or some phase of this process, of this spiritual journey, of this ascension journey for the two of you. This can also be somebody who, really believes in and has experience with law of attraction, with manifestation. They have experienced some wonderful results with that. It's something that they adhere to. It's something they try to teach others about. They try to minister to others about. They try to share this, encourage others to sort of move in that direction, that thoughts become things, to be very mindful of the kind of the vibrations that one is holding internally, because that is then mimicked in the outside plane. And also this reality of, belief manifesting in actuality, kind of pursuing a goal that perhaps only you can see, trusting in the universe to kind of align circumstances and people to create those windows of opportunity to reach those goals. The two of you also, this connection may come as a surprise in that you've manifested one another perhaps sooner than you had thought, as you were giving kind of consideration to love and to partnership, but imagining it would be a little further down the road. In some way you fast-tracked one another to this intersection. It might catch you kind of both off guard and sort of cause those defenses to go up, those barriers to go up. a sense too of a little bit of uncertainty, that you two align so perfectly with one another in a spiritual sense, at a core sense, maybe even kind of shared experiences, that there's this sense perhaps of, is this too good to be true? A little bit of skepticism that might sort of be a theme here, at least initially in this connection. And we have retail, so they may work in retail, own a store. Maybe this is somebody who, again, kind of their profession is spiritual services. They could offer counseling services, shamanic healing sessions, in some way are kind of in sort of the customer service industry, in a helping industry, dealing with people on a regular basis. Trying to anticipate the needs of people and to really align that with products or with services that really fit those needs. And we also have grounded, so somebody who's a very practical person, very down-to-earth person, as much as they have this spiritual side to them. This is not somebody who's just up in the clouds and kind of wishful thinking. These beliefs, these practices that they have manifested in true core change in their reality. These are more than just theories, or more than just, this is more than just wishful thinking. Whatever life this person has created for themselves in this spiritual path as a result of this awakening and this ascension journey, it is grounded in reality. They are tangible evidence as well, an inspiration to others of the power of change, of the power of surrender, of the power of transmutation. There's something also as well with just somebody who might also be, again, very logical, very practical, somebody who's very, good with managing their finances, somebody who lives very modestly, somebody who lives within their means, not somebody who necessarily has these grand and glorious visions of fame and fortune and power, but somebody who genuinely wants to help, who genuinely wants to heal, who is very grounded and practical, and perhaps very humble and a little bit modest, kind of downplays their abilities or the effect that they have upon others. And we have heavy set, so that can be a body type. This can also talk about somebody who has gone through kind of a personal transformation physically, some kind of a glow up, or has really kind of taken their health as a priority for them, has really, has made that kind of the forefront of their reality, of that healing, maybe healing from a series of health conditions or concerns that they had, kind of a sedentary lifestyle, and they have reinvigorated themselves in some way. They have sort of recharged their life. This transformation journey may be something that is an inspiration to others, or it has really been kind of this inspiration to themselves, goals that were set that were able to be reached through manifestation, that has then rippled out into other areas of things they have wanted to achieve or experience or be within, and sort of through themselves, and kind of reaching for that. And we also have kind, so somebody who is very gentle in their nature, a very polite person, somebody who it almost feels that they don't have a mean bone in their body, somebody who really just is very healing in their energy, wants to help, wants to kind of leave the world a better place than they had found it. Somebody who may have a very unique and special relationship to animals and to children, somebody who people feel very comfortable in their presence. They really put people at ease very immediately. And we've also got brainy, so that can tie in with books, somebody who is very well-read, very intelligent, somebody who has a lot of knowledge, somebody who, may even work in research, be a researcher, somebody who's working toward kind of a more advanced degree in terms of school, some kind of dissertation, or some kind of a specialty that requires a lot of kind of intellectual digging, a lot of research, a lot of writing, a lot of presentation. And we've also got the month of February, so that is tying in with that Valentine's energy that came up. And this can also be the zodiac signs of Aquarius and Pisces. And we've got soul recognition. So that also is coming up with that shaman card, a sense of deja vu, a sense of a past lives that you've had with this person, of recognizing them immediately, a sense of familiarity, a sense of sanctuary in their presence, calm in their presence. And we have younger, so there could be an age difference between the two of you. This person could be younger than you. Or this is also bringing up the idea of somebody who has really kind of renewed themselves in some way, given themselves a new lease on life, or feels invigorated, feels in some way they have needed to start over, maybe at a period of their life, maybe after, again, that energy of kind of a messy divorce, and they've had to rebuild themselves. That this is how, they're starting over again at 40 or 50 or 60 or, whatever, or 30, just whatever the age is. But it's a sense of, one direction that this person's life was going down, and things changed, the circumstances changed, a certain way of being or life fell apart. They've needed to pick up the pieces. They may be just kind of at those beginning stages with that Three of Pentacles of sort of rebuilding themselves. They're very fresh in this energy of autonomy, of independence, of creating something different for themselves out of the pieces that are left from whatever kind of crumbled or fell apart. And we also have reserved, so somebody who might be a little bit shy, might be, is that shoulder that people kind of come to, is that listening ear. It's that kindness. It's that counseling. It's that healing energy. Somebody who's very open-minded. They reserve judgment. Somebody who's very accepting. Somebody who's able to really look past the exterior of circumstances or of people, and to really just help to bring out the best in people. Somebody who is not really prone to gossip. Somebody who kind of, keeps their opinions to themselves unless they have something very positive and constructive to say. Somebody who also, with that energy of reserved in the Seven of Wands, might be a little guarded. Their heart might be a little guarded after, again, a series of disappointments or some kind of a journey of needing to kind of pick themselves back up. Somebody at one point in time might have been almost an overgiver and has now really come to value and appreciate the nature of their energy and kind of the resources that they have in their life, in terms of their emotions, in terms of who they are as a person. They have placed a higher value upon that. They're not going to give of themselves so freely. This is somebody who really believes in reciprocity, who gives what they receive. And that could be quite a contrast to periods of their life, other periods of their life where they almost gave to the point of depletion or exhaustion of themselves. We've also got black hair. Aquarius, so again, more of that February energy here, although this can be the months of January and February. And this is also bringing to mind this idea of age of Aquarius. So somebody who, is very spiritual, might be into New Age, metaphysics, meditation, shamanism, spirituality, somebody who is that living embodiment of that kind of 5D consciousness. Someone who has worked to balance out distortions within themselves, who carries and is able to kind of move between these masculine and feminine polarities within themselves as well. Somebody who is very interested in kind of healing and helping others to step into that better version of self. And we've also got deja vu, so that another confirmation of that with the shaman and the soul recognition. Definitely a feeling of past lives with this person, having known one another before, a lot of deja vu that you might be experiencing kind of as a precursor to meeting this person, or that really happens right in that initial stage or kind of the early stages of your connection. We've also got average height. Kundalini awakening, so that is that Ace of Wands. This definitely can be somebody who sparks a Kundalini awakening, who helps to, both of you sort of help one another to kind of move to the next level of your ascension. You really bring something back to life within one another. You help to add to a romantic component that might not have been really focused on if the two of you were independently focused on sort of rebuilding your life, focused on your spirituality, focused on healing, focused on helping. something, almost in a way of depleting this necessary kind of emotional component, this companionship component, this romantic component that is a necessary ingredient of living a well-rounded life, a balanced life. Something you hadn't been prioritizing, or you had, almost raised your standards to such a way you weren't just willing to entertain any energy romantically. You weren't just able to let anybody into your heart. And when the two of you really make that decision to open up to one another, it sparks something very beautiful within one another. This is almost a transcendent experience, physically, emotionally, spiritually, with one another. The level of connectedness and depth that you reach with one another is unlike anything you've ever experienced before. You catalyze one another to kind of a deeper aspect of your spiritual gifts, a deeper aspect of the bond that can exist between two people. It's a transcendent love. It's a transcendent connection. It is that embodiment of that age of Aquarius, of that kind of embodiment of the 5D energy here in the material plane. And this can also talk about a lot of creative energy that the two of you exchange. This person really helping you to spark or align with some form of creative purpose for yourself. The two of you could be very creative or artistic people as well, functioning as one another's almost muse and critic, kind of helping one another, nudging one another in sort of the direction of allowing those gifts to really shine and be expressed in ways you hadn't thought of before, or in more kind of active or intense ways, or consistent ways, prioritizing more of that than you had up to this point. And we've also got firefighters. So this could be a profession, something they do as a day job. Maybe there was that energy of kind of something they do for the day, during the day, that is very mundane. And then almost like at night, then they've got this whole other side to themselves. And this ties in as well with that Kundalini awakening, that Ace of Wands, that fire energy, a very passionate connection between the two of you, a very passionate love, something that is sparked or awakened within the soul, perhaps a literal Kundalini awakening within one another, either when you meet or when the relationship really transitions over into a physical dynamic between the two of you. We've also got long face. Gifts. So this can talk about psychic gifts, spiritual gifts, things that are activated, that are awakened or enhanced within one another through this dynamic. This can talk about somebody as well who's very gifted in terms of an artistic ability, some kind of a musical ability, something that they do, something who's very gifted at healing. This is a gift within them, their presence, their energy, the words that they speak, maybe these techniques or these practices that they have sort of brought to the surface within themselves that they are focusing on, things that they have really pulled from their heritage or from a community or a culture that they resonate with. They are very gifted at this, a very gifted healer. And we've also got popular, so that can tie in with this idea of a gifted healer, somebody who is sought out for their services, their psychic services, their spiritual services, somebody who, because of that energy of kindness, they are very well liked, they are very well received. This is something that a lot of people speak very highly of this person, or speak very highly of who they have become. Who they have kind of built themselves into, somebody who is very respected for maybe the journey that they have been on, experiences that they've had, and how they've kind of made the most out of those circumstances. We've also got the letter A. And we have smile, so that was coming through with funny, somebody who has a very beautiful or unique smile, a smile that lights up the room, somebody who smiles with their eyes, who smiles with their whole energy, somebody who really brings a smile to your face after a period of, maybe having gone through some difficult experiences that made you a little bit cautious or guarded. This person brings a warmth back into your life, almost believing in the power of love again. Somebody who might be very sweet, might be very, romantic. These little gestures, these little efforts that they make, even just making, a Wednesday night dinner at home and with Netflix. They make that romantic with candles and flowers and, kind of soft music in the background. They're setting the stage for you to feel very pampered, very appreciated and very loved. Somebody who really, again, kind of heals with humor and seeks to really lighten the mood or the surroundings. Somebody who you really turn to and is a source of brightness when you might be going through kind of some heavy experiences in your life as well. And we've got business owners, so they could be an entrepreneur. Again, spiritual business was coming in here, or even some kind of an artistic business, some kind of a healing business. This can even be some kind of a doctor or a therapist that is self-employed, that is an independent practice. Got the letter U. Love language. So that was coming up with man holding a heart, somebody who, words of affection, words of love, little gestures of love, little kind of gifts or tokens or, just kind of little things that they do, sort of setting up a very special ambiance. It's a very compatible love language. They speak your language in terms of love. You two communicate from the heart. You communicate from the soul. There's an energetic bond and a connection. Almost the two of you from your hearts are communicating across distance, even now, even before you have met this person. A deeply empathic connection with one another, where you are really able to sense and feel kind of and anticipate the needs of one another. You're able to really sense in and feel maybe even this exchange of kundalini energy from one another. Your heart's really longing for one another, being that source of comfort during dark times, even prior to meeting one another. It feels very much that you are companions at the heart level, even in this current moment with one another at whatever stage you are at in your life. And we've also got nature. So this can tie into that idea of rewilding, somebody who likes to spend a lot of time outdoors, somebody who, has an organic lifestyle, a vegan lifestyle, a vegetarian lifestyle, somebody who has a very unique relationship with animals. This can also talk about the two of you. Your natures are very similar to one another. You get along very well with one another. You have these shared beliefs or practices. It's something where you are able to really adapt to one another. Sort of lifestyles also in a very natural way. This connection develops very organically. You're both very respectful of one another's boundaries and barriers. And there's not a lot of pressure to sort of push or fast track this, but this is an energy of allowing love to kind of break down the walls very gradually that exist between you. And we've also got passionate. So that ties in with all that fire energy, that kundalini energy, a very passionate connection with the two of you, a very magnetic attraction, a very activating connection. This can talk about somebody who's very romantic as well, or somebody who's very passionate about a particular cause, very passionate about helping, very passionate about healing. Very passionate about some kind of a healing practice or a modality that has really helped them to transform their life in some way, and that they minister that out to people. They're very passionate about what they do for a living or what they believe in, what they practice. This is definitely somebody who practices what they preach. And we also have shy, so somebody who could at times be a little bashful, somebody who might be prone to blushing, that as much as they might try to kind of hold back their feelings, from time to time, or when you initially meet them, there's a sense of being able to see that, read between the lines with this person. That energy of almost being a little bit guarded. This could be somebody who will take their time to kind of advance the connection to that romantic level. Somebody who has maybe a little bit of fear of rejection or kind of the memories of the past and situations that fell apart in their romantic life. They're not wanting to repeat that. Somebody who will take their time, somebody who's a little bit kind of reserved in that sense. Somebody who is very kind, very soft-spoken, a very gentle nature, a very gentle soul, a lot of passion here, but also somebody who feels very much like a safe space, a very nurturing presence. And they may also be a little bit shy or humble or kind of reserved about these gifts that they have, about the impact that they have. Somebody who's not prone to brag, somebody who's not really operating in ego, but is just kind of fulfilled by the inner knowing of being of service, of activating and living and adhering to these principles that they hold so dearly to. Somebody who really practices what they preach, but might be a little understated about the impact that they have upon the lives of others. So I'm going to get some initials for you now, group 3, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got S, I, V, A, D, L, B, C, P, Y, X, U, O, J, and W. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I now offer pre-recorded video readings that are sent to you as a YouTube link. Turnaround time is 3 to 5 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dreamcatchers, and suncatchers in my Etsy shop. So all of that is available if you want to check any of that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.